to the debut episode of the Top 10. This will be a monthly thing with Simply Reliable with Noah Foster and myself, Mr. Reliable, which is hence why we make Simply Reliable. But this will be a monthly thing where we take our top 10, and trust me, we racked our brains. It is very difficult to just narrow it down to 10, especially with the way January was. But Noah, how you doing today, and how you feel about this?
Hey, what's up, Walter? Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again. We are Super Reliable here at the Super Reliable Studios. I feel good about this, but it's a unique challenge considering how much wrestling I watch. Again, I baptized you in the waters of the Japanese landscape. Of course, we look at the top 5 promotions here that I most recognize: WWE, NXT, AEW, TNA, ROH. I look at a little bit of House of Glory. We looked at a little bit of MLW. We've been on independent wrestling showcases as of late with Prestige, and we just did VIP wrestling last night. And of course, I'm heavily founded in the Japanese disciplines of All Japan, Sendai, but particularly this month, it's been about New Japan, Noah, Marigold, and Stardom. So this is interesting because I'm not one to rank. I just enjoy life and enjoy wrestling, but I'm looking forward to this conversation and trying to put a bit of a precipice in what I watch. So this should be a lot of fun. I hope people enjoy this.
Yeah, well, without further ado, let's get right into it. Guess we'll show the banners and the graphics as we talk, but let's start with honorable mention. Like I said, it's difficult to narrow it down to just 10. So
Right?
what I did was put in and gave us a little bit of extra options and mention some honorable mentions. So there's my honorable mention. If you want to grab the graphic while I'm putting up the
Yeah, I'll grab the graphics as you talk because I think we'll just literally tag each other as we
yeah.
go about these. So why don't you go ahead and start things off here with your first honorable mention, which unfortunately had much more potential, but injury.
Yeah, this is why I did that. This is exactly why I did this. The reason I named it as just an honorable mention and not the top 10, it would have broke into the top 10 had it not been for Duquesne's injury. I don't know if it was his neck, spine. I don't know exactly what happened, but he hit pretty funny, and obviously there was a referee stoppage, and El Desperado won the default by referee stoppage, and obviously no one wants to win that way. But the title is now his. Honestly, the honorable thing is since we're talking about honorable mention, I would relinquish the title and be like, I don't want to win it that way. And then somehow we do some tournament. We could do something. There's plenty of ways to do it again, but there's no way me as an honorable man would want that title that way. Like you could see the disappointment, even though he was in behind a mask. You could see it in his. You could see it like he did not want to win that way.
Yeah. Well, considering both men's roots going back to Mexico, and El Desperado and Doki defined the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship for the better part of 2024. It was literally during the New Japan Soul Tour in the summer last year that Doki won that title from El Desperado. And El Desperado, of course, got injured and then came back to challenge him. He cannot fault Doki for bringing his all at the Tokyo Dome, and he looks forward to him becoming stronger when he returns. For those that don't know, Doki did a ridiculous bomb off the top and landed awkwardly on his arm and broke it. Because of a broken arm, thankfully the referee Marty Asami immediately called for it, and Doki and El Desperado was declared the winner. So far, with a great defense already against Bones of Taji Ishimori, I do look forward to Doki, considering how long I followed his career, and Gino, of course, with the Toki, that I want to see this match ran back, and I want to see these two truly bring everything they can against each other. But I don't blame you at all right there for that. Hey, hello, Nestor. Well, from your first honorable mention to mine, because again, I look at all things wrestling, I do think, again, you don't look at the result. You look at the growth, you look at the moment, you look at the experience, how happy Julia, beautiful Madness from Beautiful Sandy is to be here in America, to be here in NXT, and one of the most predominant women's division right now on the planet. I will put NXT up with that much respect. I loved this match, and it really tested how far Julia has grown in NXT, but how far Roxanne Perez is willing to go as champion. I kind of find it poetic, though, how New Year's Eve a while back, the young, perky Roxanne Perez beat Mandy Rose. And here we have Julia beating the Prodigy here, becoming the new NXT Women's Champion. Even Cora Jade got involved, where I thought it was going to be a repeat of the CW premiere in Chicago. So I was very happy to see Julia come here in NXT and win this title. And I look forward to seeing what Beautiful Madness comes with her run. So that was definitely an honorable mention for me, but it's not the only Donald Del Mondo I mentioned I have here on this list. Just saying.
Yeah, I love this match. What's funny is I'm an NXT person, and I feel like I should look over my shoulder before JJ somehow teleports and bops me in the back of the head. Because spoiler alert, NXT is not any of the matches are not on mine. So it's just there was so much wrestling last month that some people unfortunately had to get cut, and unfortunately it was NXT. So I kind of got to hide from JJ for a little while because he's probably gonna cuss me out. But I mean, it is what it is.
Well, what are you gonna do? Well, so we did, I think, a couple of honorable mentions, key wise. So I know you have another one. So let's go ahead and talk about your other honorable mention because, again, this should have been on the main card. Damn it!
This should have been on the main card. Momo versus Willow versus Persephone versus Athena. You literally represented four. Well, technically, Athena and Willow represents the same company, but one is ROH. You know, if you want to get technical, but but the only reason it's an honorable mention and not crack the top 10 is because I feel like it should have been on the main card and they put it on the freaking opener before the pay per view. So that's the only reason it docked a few points for me, and
Busted.
that's the only reason I put it there.
Okay, fair enough. But I love the fact that, again, we also, many people don't know who Persephone is from CMLL. Of course, she recently was involved in Major League Wrestling against Alejandra. Of course, we called VIP Wrestling last night. Shout out Wrestling JJ Williams. As a lifelong fan of Joshi Pro Wrestling and Japanese wrestling, when you look at Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling or look at Stardom, Sendai Girls, Prominence, I've learned about Colors. I've learned about so many other promotions, still learning about them. It's one of those things as an advocate of women's wrestling from a global standpoint. I love this and want to see more of this interpromotional showcasing on special shows, if not once a quarter. Again, Athena, the unstoppable juggernaut of Ring of Honor, the face of ROH. Willow Nightingale, she has been a trendsetter across multiple wrestling landscapes. And Momo Watanabe, many people at one point were holding her up to be the World of Stardom champion and a leader of Stardom, but it just never seemed they let her go that far, to the point she decided to join Hate, formerly Lato Tai, and apparently it's given her more opportunity than ever, as Momo, of course, is the winner. And, of course, will challenge any title that she wants in Stardom. And I believe she's targeted the IWGP Women's Championship held by Mai Watani. But I love the clash of styles and the showcase here. So that's a great honorable mention. But when I think about honorable mentions, I don't think about necessarily about match precipice as well as growth and journey alone. I think about teases of developing the future and what the future can hold. And you were taken away by someone being called a super rookie, and rightfully so. It was actually one of the very first matches we called this month, Walter. I have Syria Yamako debut as one of my honorable mentions. Taking on, of course, Mirai, formerly of God's Eye from Stardom. Mirai, who literally is a locker room leader and trainer, not just of Yamako, but also of the Marigold roster. This was an incredible 50-minute plus bout that went to a draw, but Yamako still wanted more until he had a winner. In the end, Mirai took her head off with a clothesline. But just look at the amateur wrestling background of Yamako and her first professional wrestling match and how well she was founded and tested Mirai. It was beyond impressive for me that I think the sky's the limit for this young rising talent. So much so, I've been following Marigold this month. She's a Twin Star Tag Team champion. She's already got her first championship accolade alongside Nane Takahashi, who's retiring, of course, later this year after beating Bozilla and Tank. So congratulations to Yamako on a great January so far, and look forward to seeing what's next.
I'm a big fan of the way she was doing her switches and her transitions and her speed. Like literally, if you go back and watch my commentating on it, she impressed.
You were losing yourself.
Yeah. It was hell of an impression. Like I feel like the golden ticket, not just because the golden standard. I know that's Shelton Benjamin's nickname, but it's Kurt Angle when it comes to amateur wrestling. Yes, we know he got a gold medal, but like it was literally almost like watching a female version of Kurt Angle. Like her switches, her speed, everything she did was absolutely freaking amazing, and like she really impressed me.
Yeah, and again, she's got a lot of strength too. Those gut wrench suplex takeovers on Mirai into those submission positions. To your point, high ankle lock, low body weight on the body. Again, she was very impressive and well founded, and I love seeing that early development showcase so much more potential for the future. Honestly, Imago, she might become another prodigy of the business like Roxanne Perez. That's what I hold her up to for the time being. And again, I know we'll probably talk about other matches as well. So I just want to give a shout out, of course, to this Karate Fest with these two incredible women as Aya Sakura and Kyoka Kotashu fought under UWF rules. I just wanted to give them a shout out because I just got done recently watching that. And Walter, as I, of course, baptized you in the fields of stardom, these two women in a background of karate brought a very unique type of match dynamic where I think UWF matches should be more of a foundation. I know they're in GLEAT, but I wouldn't mind seeing more of them in Stardom personally. And I recommend anybody to go back and watch this from January 26th.
I literally just watched it yesterday because you baptized me in it. At first, I didn't know what the rules were. I got a little lost because it was like rounds. I thought it was like rounds, but it wasn't.
Point
it was
system.
A point system. Yeah, and it was funny because it's like all in Japanese with no commentary, so you get to pretty much be your own commentary. But then when they count, they were counting in English. I found that hilarious. I don't know why, but that was like the most hilarious thing to me. But you gotta love Japanese wrestling. Like I'm so glad that you really opened my eyes to that.
I got to. I look forward to our next Japanese wrestling coverage. I don't know if we're doing the new beginning of Osaka. I don't know if we're going to do Stardom, maybe before April. I don't know if we're going to do Dragon Gate. I don't know if we're going to do Noah Star Navigation or Sunny Voyage. But stay tuned, folks, because I assure you, super liable, we're definitely going to cover more Japanese wrestling this year. But now that we got the honorable mentions out of the way, let's go ahead and get right into our list, starting with number 10. A Shawn Spears perfect 10. I'll go ahead and kick things off here with my number 10 because for me, it's one of those things where I love disciplines of wrestling, but one of the disciplines I think that doesn't still get enough respect for, not just pure wrestling, technical wrestling, the art of human chess. And I don't think necessarily there was a checkmate here, but I do think Zack Sabre Jr. put Hechicero in check, as these two had a great exhibition at Battle in the Valley. It was their third, I believe, singles encounter since Rev Pro and since CMLL, where the Alchemist himself took on the frontman, the current IWGP Heavyweight Champion, TMDK's own Zack Sabre Jr. New Japan Pro Wrestling. There was barely any pinfalls here before a pinfall exchange in the end allowed Zack Sabre Jr. to get the win. At one point, Zack wanted this to be for the title, and personally, I think they should run this back for the championship during the Fantastica Mania show, if it's coming up later this year, or the Fantastica Mania tour. But I look at Hechicero and Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. and Hechicero, they almost are like day and night when it comes to their foundation and bloody techers and technical wrestling. This was just freaking awesome. A human dissection manipulation of contortionism in the end, as Zack Sabre Jr. got a pinfall win, not a submission.
Yeah, that was very impressive. Zack had 2 matches in January, and I'm pretty sure one of us or both of us will get to another Zack Sabre Jr. match. But yeah, he's been on fire, and like New Japan is lucky to have him. And how many times have he said he's New Japan for life? So for those hoping to see the British guy on American soil or in another company, don't hold your breath, because it seems like he loves New Japan and he loves the style, and he's gonna stay there.
Yeah. Let's see what you got here. You got Marigold.
I got Marigold. I have Bozilla and Tank, who are unfortunately no longer a tag team.
Nope.
Versus Dark Wolf and is it Shiakaki? You pronounce it, man.
Nagisa, Nosaki, and Shiaki.
There you go. Now, these two behemoths, and I don't say that word lightly. These two are literal behemoths. Her name is Tank for a fucking reason. If you guys don't know her, go look at her. Like, seriously, her name is Tank for a reason. So it's not so much the match itself, it's the impression that they left on me. Like, so it's like I looked at it and I was like, holy hell, I'm into Japanese wrestling that fast. Like, in the snap of a finger. And I mean, go back in the archives and just watch us call it, and just look at my enthusiasm of these matches. But yeah, they really impressed me with that one.
Yeah, the Iron Lady, who's literally 1 year in her career, as I, of course, was looking at her tail of the tape. But it's just one of those things that, again, we talk about the potential of the business and why. Again, it wasn't a lot of wrestling in this match, to your point. It was just a dominant stance because Bozilla kind of carried the team because Bozilla is the more experienced. Bozilla, of course, previously challenging for the Marigold World Championship, by the way, last year against Saray. An incredible match. I recommend you all go back and watch that, Walter. But it's one of those things where looking at the present set by Bozilla and Tank was freaking ridiculous. And they dominated this and became the new Twin Star Tag Team Champions. However, since then, they lost those titles to, like I said earlier, Syria Mako. You want to talk about fighting spirit and resilience. Syria was bullied, and I mean that all caps, bullied during that match with Tank and Bozilla. But in the end, she got the win for the team with a gut wrench suplex on Tank and literally got her down for the 3 count. And it led to Tank and Bozilla with a fallout and a loser leaves town match where Tank is no longer part of Marigold, Bozilla staying.
And mind you, Tank is not in the business long. Like this, she's pretty much not exactly a rookie, but she's new to the game. Like, and like seriously, like she impressed the hell out of me. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, she's so new that she would need to go to NXT and WWE. But Chelsea Green and Piper are talking about needing a bodyguard. Like that's your Kevin Nash right there. Go get Tank.
Oh Jesus!
Go get Diesel so you can walk around like Shawn Michaels did in the '90s with Diesel behind him. And she doesn't need to wrestle.
I mean, just stand there and barely do anything. Just show off the back like Raquel. And to your point, Bozilla, she is still also very young in her career. She's only 2 years above in her career. And one of her trainers was Scott D'Amore from the Can-Am Dojo. And I think Bozilla has a very bright future and can be a Marigold champion. I don't think she's going to be the flyweight champion. I can see her going after maybe the United Nations Championship, which, of course, Nagisa will challenge Mai Sakurai for at some point in the near future, I believe, if not already. But yeah, again, presence speaks values, especially when the volume is the size of those two behemoths together as a team, even if it was just one-off or less than a month.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all right, so let's move on to number 9 from each of us.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and kick things off here again because it's from the same show. And if you haven't figured out my love of professional wrestling, damn it, by now, you should know by now that one of my all-time favorite wrestlers is one of those that stays true to his form of professional wrestling. And there is no truer singular form of professional wrestling on the planet for me as a fan than Stone Pitbull Wrestling. Damn it. Because I have Tomohiro Ishii taking on Gabe Kidd for the Strongboy Championship as my number 9. That went to a 30-minute draw. These two did nothing but beat the holy crap out of each other and chopped each other into oblivion, trying to not go off their own feet. This was a physical clinic. Crowd was on their feet, literally standing ovation at points, while these two literally knocked each other down the mat. The referee was getting close to a 9-count double count out. In the end, this went to a 30-minute draw, and Gabe Kidd, the crazy motherfucker he is, told Ishii, running this back, when you see it right, we're getting a 30-minute Ironman match out of this. The unique thing, though, about this match, Ishii was once rendered dead for 10 minutes, so every match, he wants you to bring your best fight. He wants you to be true to your form. He admires Gabe Kidd for staying true to his form of professional wrestling. Whether violent, whether physical, whether absolutely reckless as a war dog, you be the judge. But the bottom line, I just love to see these two fight and smash each other's faces forever, and they are the definition of strong, never say die attitude and spirit. Loved this.
All right, and put up the graph for mine because, of course, my number 9. Now I know you end up going to be a big fan of this. Is Utami versus Saray from First Stream 2025. How can you not be impressed with this match? Like, how long did they go, Noah? How long was that match? Like,
it was at least 20. It was at least 25 minutes.
It was like 20 minutes at least. Like. Maybe even 25, because I watched it again like 2 days ago, and I think it's about 25 minutes. These two back and forth, pure wrestling, female wrestling at its best, and like I mean we're coming off VIP yesterday. Like lucky VIP wasn't in January, because what the Actually, it was. Yesterday was January 31st, but
Bosh.
we already had our list set, so botch. But I couldn't add anything from VIP just because it would have made my head hurt even worse. So kind of now the opposite. I kind of wish VIP was in February so that we could do it this month, but that's neither here nor there. And I feel like both our passports are gonna be stamped with Japanese all over this, Japan all over this countdown. I just got that feeling. Like we did not go over, by the way, so you guys know, with each other our top tens. That's why you can see our live reactions to one another. Like we did not go over this. Noah left all this part where he just said Noah. I left it like that, and it was all blank. He just added it like right before we got in the air. We didn't go over it or anything, so we don't know each other's picks, honestly.
Nope, there's no advanced communication besides let's go on the air at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there you go. But yeah, and again, Utama Hayashita, literally the former face of Stardom in a way, former Stardom Grand Slam champion, held up as Ishita top talent, up there with the likes of Hiroshi Tanahashi. Seeing her go to Marigold to pursue new challenges, it looked like she was going through the Marigold fields forever without accomplishing or finding herself. Winning their Dream Grand Prix last year, though, their form of the 5-star Grand Prix, and overcoming the sun god, a queen now has been crowned in Marigold to shine on through the new year in what was basically setting up a new year with a new landscape in Marigold, with new champions probably across the board. So I'm really glad that you picked this. And for me, it felt for the first time in a long time, Utami Hayashita was finally happy and in the spot where she deserved to be. But Saraya was one hell of an inaugural champion since being Julia last year in July. Not going to discount her. And something tells me the sun god will rise again to come back for that crown.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to number 8. I'm coming back to the United States and going to that little engine that could. For TNA, this was an I Quit match. Josh Alexander versus Mike Santana from TNA Genesis. These two were literally trying to kill each other. We saw the zip ties return, but this time, someone actually knew how to use it. But literally, the only reason it ended is because if you guys saw American History X, I'm a movie buff, but that's pretty much what Mike Santana was about to do to Josh Alexander. Like he was about to literally push his face into the stairs with his head like this, and Alexander was forced to quit before it happened. And not only, pun intended, it's also the impact of this match, because not only did the Walking Weapon quit the match, he quit the whole damn company after this match, and he passed the torch to Mike Santana. So it's the impact of this match that makes it number 8 for me too.
Well, it's one of those things also when you consider that the whole lifestyle of Mike Santana prior to coming back home to TNA, it was because he was only known as a tag team specialist. LAX, Proud and Powerful, Elite Express, but formerly, of course, Bob and House of Glory. I believe he's still the House of Glory champion. And Mike Santana coming back home last year, Rebellion, being the likes of Steve Macklin, posed the biggest threat by the system, by Moose himself, went through a whole system by himself, beat the face of the franchise at Bound for Glory, and now he's beaten Josh Alexander to prove why he is the new standard of TNA and looks for this proper purpose towards the TNA World Championship. I think it's justified. And the fact that the standard of TNA since 2017 endorsed him as such and left his home for Mike Santana to now lead as the home keeper, if you will, I think was very poetic. And boy, did Mike Santana take this to the streets with that mat ball and threatening to cut his face on with the front of the steel steps. And he also did it almost with one leg, losing a boot at one point, Eddie Guerrero style. And it's also one of those things that Josh Alexander, he'd never been involved in that match before. And I would never thought that I would hear the words, "I quit," from Josh Alexander's mouth. So a tremendous accomplishment for Mike Santana.
How many times did I mention that in the freaking Simply Predicting? I was like, this match is crazy, and I don't.
45.
45?
Yeah.
Tax and all?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Margo.
Oh, puppy! Aw.
That's my mom and that's my dog.
But anyways, yeah. How many times did I say that? Simply Predicting. I was like, I don't see either one of these two uttering the words "I quit." So I don't know. It was like between a rock and a hard place the way they booked this match, but I get it. he had to save face when he said I quit because he literally was about to get pushed into a set of stairs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
let's talk about your number 8.
so here's the thing. Before I went on the air and I figure about my scope of love of wrestling, I figure about the moments, I figure about the competition, I figure about those that I follow more than anything else, but I also really, truly set a precipice for women's wrestling above other professional wrestling, if you believe everything I'm saying. But the entire world believed in this man achieving the moment, and he finally did. Shenanigans aside, my number 8 is the TNA World Championship, where Nick Nemeth, the wanted man, failed to keep Joe Hendry in the danger zone, and we finally saw the crowning of 250 pounds of pure motivation. The answer to all Eli's questions. You all know his name. It's not on the brand. Don't worry about it, Walter. But Joe Hendry, he did it! Yes! And literally last year was Joe Hendry's year. We saw this man. You follow this man since WCPW, since Defiant Wrestling, since, his roots in the original Impact Wrestling, and of course in ROH for a stint, and then coming into TNA, longest reigning digital media champion. Last year, of course, he went to NXT. He main evented there, challenging for the NXT championship. He's been on everyone's minds, everyone's lips, everyone's namesake, no matter what wrestling fan you are. Joe Hendry is global. And the fact that finally this man is the face of TNA, where it should have happened May 5th Slammiversary, I loved how far we waited for this moment and still how much we embraced and reacted to it. So I definitely had to give this to Joe Hendry and Nick Nemeth. Plus, Nick Nemeth, he proved a lot. He proved a lot since leaving WWE, starting back from ground zero. Coming back into TNA last year at Hard to Kill, taking moves to the danger zone, and we saw his rise to the TNA championship, taking Kazarian to the danger zone Slammiversary, yay, and overcoming the likes of Josh Alexander in an Iron Man match, Eddie Edwards, and even Moose himself. The whole aspect of John Layfield is still a whole big WTF, don't know what. But again, Nick Nemeth, Joe Hendry carried TNA last year if their names were not Jordan Grace. Again, do you believe? So Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry was my number 8 pick.
Think about the reign that Moose had. He pretty much was only pinned by 3 people. 2 of them were in this damn match. Like, literally, Nick Nemeth and Henry were the only ones to beat this guy. Like, he's been on a hell of a run, so that tells you something. But I don't want to ruin this. I'll save it for a little later, talking more about that match, because it's going to pop up again with me.
I imagine, again, that we're going to have some matches that share a little bit of a similarity, but that's the beauty of, again, the love of professional wrestling, damn it. And again, before we even started talking, I still wasn't fully concrete in my list, to the point that I adjusted that one, but I also adjusted this, if you will allow me, because my next match, again, my boy, my favorite, that's a botch, gotta fix it. I put Tomohiro Ishii versus Konosuke Takeshita for the never openweight in AEW International Championship. First time ever one-on-one contest. Tomohiro Ishii, who always loves to test himself, test anyone else's fighting spirit. The last time we saw these two in the ring, Walter, it was Forbidden Door. It was literally when it was the Death Riders, not known back then as such, Blackpool Combat Club and the Alpha and Shota Umino taking on the Elite and Ishii. And we got our first taste of this where these two kept colliding with each other in the middle of the ring. And Konosuke then knocked Ishii the fuck out. Ishii, of course, challenged Konosuke and Shingo based on who won January 4th at Wrestle Kingdom for both titles. Ishii is the guy with no neck that will test your grit more than anybody else, in my opinion. And we saw how far it took the Alpha to put down the Stone Pit Bull. You may say the Stone Pit Bull doesn't win, but you remember a fucking fight when you're against him in that ring or when you witness it. I loved this. And again, the Alpha right now, he's definitely been on probably one of the best runs I've seen the entire month of January.
Yeah, these two went at it, and they were all over the place. Like I said, just go back in the archive. Just watch us two call these matches. Every match that we are putting on this list, we literally called together. So exactly. You can see our genuine reactions on there. Like, this match was ridiculous. But let me talk about mine. Who the hell would have ever thought that we could say we would see a title that belongs to WWE on Japanese television? So
damn you, JJ!
My number 7 was from Noah, no relation to you, the new
Thank you.
the new year with Shinsuke Nakamura versus Oka Sasaki, where Oka Sasaki almost pinned Nakamura. It literally took him to use the mist in order to get this win. Like Sasaki was this close to literally pinning a WWE. I want to say WWE champion, but the United States champion, a champion
Totally
in the
right.
corporation of WWE is what I mean. Like it literally almost happened, and he had to resort to using the mist. But it's Japan. Like, how did any of us ever doubt that that mist was going to show up in there? I was
I
just waiting
mean,
for when.
I mean, let's be honest here. Shinsuke Nakamura talked about his idol, Great Muta. He came back to Noah literally 2 years ago at Noah the New Year to take on his idol, the Great Muta, Bye Bye Muta tour. It's one of those things, though, where, again, Shinsuke Nakamura, who's led so many people, of course, also transitioning from the world of MMA. Let's not forget also a former son, literally the king of strong style, son in spirit to Antonio Inoki, the guy that tried to blur the lines with freaking MMA, mixed martial arts, combat sports, and professional wrestling to begin with. He was literally the spearhead child for Inokiism. So it's one of those things that the Miz doesn't surprise me at all, but the background of Uga Sasaki and this first dream that he got to do with Shinsuke Nakamura, it was special in itself. Of course, already he's been a GHC national champion, so I think it was very deserving and worthy for him to face. But again, Shinsuke asked, are you going to be a fighter or professional wrestler? You got to find yourself. We tested and saw that during that match where it was more of a mix, where Uga, I think, is still trying to figure himself out. But again, he did nearly pin a WWE United States champion, which has been an entire what the fuck moment for the entire world. So I don't blame you for picking that one at all. And I could definitely see Shinsuke Nakamura coming back to Noah again. But this Dark Samurai is something far more dangerous than a King of Strong Style ever was.
Japan and mist is just like any wrestler throwing a punch. Like Asuka has used the mist. We've seen that mist pretty much in any Japanese wrestler. Like it just goes hand in hand. Like literally,
You're not
like
wrong.
it's just a thing.
It is a thing. It's a ridiculous thing, but it's just one of those facets. Even the women, Great Sakuya of the women division of Noah, she uses it, and she's even more bizarre than Great Muta ever was.
Tell me about it.
But
yeah, let's go on to number 6. I'll let you go first on this one.
I mean, I got one word for you. Spirit. Kenny Omega, Gabe Kidd, God damn it. Gabe Kidd saying that I'm New Japan, bitch. We don't need any of you AEW fuckers here. You left. I stayed here. A man that was literally kept in a padded box by his own mother with how dangerous he was. Found himself new life through Japanese wrestling. Found himself living through life only through Japanese wrestling. As a young lion all the way in front of President Tanahashi, of course, now President Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi seeing the growth and the emotion brought out by Gabe Kidd, representing New Japan in the Tokyo Dome, was something special. On the other side of that, when it comes to emotions and mentality, Kenny Omega coming back to wrestling in New Japan ring, where he was baptized the most and calls home. Why at first he was almost looked at as an enemy, garnered the respect back from the New Japan faithful, but he noticed that Gabe Kidd, he might be that dark hero that New Japan has needed during this time. And Kenny Omega tested Gabe Kidd absolutely to his limits. And why Kenny Omega did get the win in the end, Gabe Kidd, I think, won so much more across the entire Japanese wrestling landscape and all of New Japan. And this was fucking ridiculous with so much interpromotional warfare of emotions, especially the commentators, to the point Chris Charlton got suspended. And also, this had no time limit. It was the only match this past month that I've watched and that we called that had no time limit. You had no idea how far these two were going to go. To one point, I thought they were going to concuss each other. This was just freaking incredible, and I can't be more happy for the new lease on life for Kenny Omega, but also the growth of Gabe Kidd. Although the War Dogs is still something that might need to be tamed sooner rather than later, to say the least, and this might be the most dangerous one.
I got a lot to say about this match, but I'm gonna save it for later.
Gee, I wonder why.
People will see.
All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about yours.
My number 6 was from the Raw debut on Netflix. It's Seth freaking Rollins versus CM Punk. Like, this rivalry has been going on for years. Seth on the WWE 2K screening sent shots at CM Punk before he was even back. These
Right.
two came back and just go back to when CM Punk came back at Survivor Series and look at Seth's reaction to it. I'm pretty sure that was real. No one told him he was coming back. He was pissed off. And the only reason I don't rank this higher is because it just simply was a grudge match with nothing more on the line. There's no title. There was no the winner gets a spot in this. It was just plain old one-on-one. But it was a Netflix debut and nothing on the line, just a grudge match. Otherwise, this would have been higher to me. Like if there was some kind of title on the line or anything, it might possibly have cracked the top 3 for me.
It's also one of those things that you think about looking at a different aspect of working with somebody that may not want to work with you, figured about how you felt betrayed, company pride, but also doing what's best for business across the wrestling landscape. And again, this was long in waiting. When you think about, to your point, back at Survivor Series War Games 2023, when CM Punk returned home in Chicago, CM Punk all smiles, Seth freaking Rollins restrained by the likes of Corey Graves saying, "Fuck you, you cancer. We don't need you here." And of course, ever since then, they've been jaw-jacking each other ever since, to the point that Seth Rollins felt betrayed, or should I say Tyler Black felt betrayed, that Phil Brooks left him. In what felt like almost a point that you thought there was like teacher versus student, where Seth friggin' Rollins still to this day might be still in CM Punk's shadow and was trying to prove a point. CM Punk, though, of course, was able to get the win over Seth, but you saw how far Seth was willing to go, to the point he used CM Punk's go to sleep. It took 2 go to sleeps, with one rebounding Seth freaking Rollins on the collapsed body of CM Punk, for CM Punk to somehow rise up and win on the main event of Monday Night Raw, which sets up so much when you think about the mindset of both men, considering tonight they're both in the Royal Rumble, and Seth, I think, will be hell-bent on stopping CM Punk from achieving the one thing he came back to do. It was not to come home to him. It was to main event WrestleMania. So I think personally for me, this was the most important thing on that entire 3-hour Monday Night Raw Netflix premiere. So good pick.
I mean, that might cost me. Seth tonight, and we'll call it later, so tune in live to that. But Seth might be so blinded by his hate for CM Punk and just trying to eliminate him that it might cost him in the end.
Yeah, well, again, rage can blind a man. Just saying.
But sticking to that same Monday Night Raw Netflix debut, I got in the number 5 position.
Acknowledge him.
Change the number while I look for the graph. There it is. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. And the reason, acknowledge him. The reason I put this higher than the CM Punk is because something was on the line. It wasn't a championship. It wasn't anything else. It was the Uafala, and who's the actual tribal chief in the WWE, in the bloodline. And of course, Roman Reigns ended up winning. And Solo is gonna eventually. I don't think he's done it, right? He hasn't actually acknowledged him, but he's gonna eventually.
No, he has not. He has not.
Yeah, but he won the match. The reason it's not higher for me is because in the kind of match it is, there's too much shit going on. There's too much interference. It wasn't pure one-on-one. I whipped your ass, beating that. That's the only reason it doesn't crack the top 3 to me. It's the type of match, and the bloodline match is just too much going on. There's stuff going everywhere to pay attention to. It's almost like a ADD brain. And I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it's like my son has ADD, so I know how it is. But it's just too much going on, so I can't get it any higher. So I put it right in the middle here.
Well, I mean, it is one of those things where you think about how long the Bloodline saga continues to evolve, and some people might think it's been way longer than it should have been around. But again, the symbol of literally the one true tribal chief, I think, speaks values. And again, the Ula Fala, the roots of the Anali family tree, Paul Heyman being the bearer of it and the presenter of it, I think add a whole different element to a degree. And it was also on TV. So it wasn't like it was going to be overkilled book like WrestleMania, because they were not going to give it that much time because, again, advertising, marketing, over promos, damn it, got to do all the stuff, money, money, money. I really felt like there could have been more to this, because I think they rushed everything into it, from Jacob Fatu to Tama Tonga to Sami Zayn even coming out alongside Jimmy Uso. But it is one of those things where it does feel like after War Games, it made sense to end this. But I thought they were going to push it out. But considering, again, who's also in the Royal Rumble tonight, it made sense. But it does make me wonder, though, since Solo left and Jacob Fatu's been let go off the leash. Give this man a mic every week, please. Damn. I do wonder when Solo will come back and will he still be acknowledged by his bloodline, or will he be thrown out the hard way out of tribal combat? But still, it was a great, I think, way to close that saga of the bloodline civil war, where now things feel a bit more normal. There's only one bloodline, and Jacob Fatu, he's able to do whatever the fuck he wants.
All right, and now, of course, JJ, get ready because Noah's number 5.
That's a badass women bitches fighting, damn it! Jordynne Grace versus Tessa Blanchard left me on the edge of my freaking seat for a number of reasons. And let me just go ahead and say this real quick. The past does not define you in the future if you don't let it, and you prove that you grow into something different here in the present. From a fan standpoint, with somebody that was born into this business, you cannot deny her talent. And she proved it at Genesis. Why Jordynne Grace, it was almost like a passing of the torch. And again, another one of those matches where it felt like, okay, we're going to do what's best. And she did that. And these two arguably had the match of the night at Genesis, in my opinion. Tessa Blanchard and Jordynne Grace went balls to the wall, physical crazy against one another. Tessa getting so frustrated, though. The only reason this isn't higher, she had to literally use the turnbuckle to her advantage to use a buzzsaw DDT to set up for the Magnum. Otherwise, if Tessa got a 100% pure, clean win, I probably would have had this a little higher. And again, for Jordynne Grace, considering that this was her division since the Virtuosa. Deonna Purrazzo, of course, no longer was part of it. She's been leading it. She was the knockout and the Women Trailblazers of the Year last year. It really felt like a passing of the torch and a swan song for the juggernaut of TNA. And I really appreciate it. And the post thing, why, again, we didn't see an embrace there. Again, we don't know whether or not we're ever going to see that, you know. It was a nice send-off for her with the entire TNA locker room saying, thank you, Jordynne, you are forever the champion.
Want to know how I feel about this match? Surprise, surprise. Look at this. Number 4 was my Jordynne Grace versus Tessa Blanchard. So look at that. We almost had it.
Wow.
My number 4 was the Tessa Blanchard, Jordynne Grace. Of course, her swan song, and it really is because, I mean, going into VIP last night, we thought it was going to be Jordynne Grace fighting in that tournament, and then it ended up not being her. So this truly was her swan song before signing to WWE. I mean, These two really went all out, balls to the walls, as you say, tits to the wind, I guess, because there shouldn't be balls in there. So balls to the walls, we shouldn't say during females. But these two went at it, and again, like you said, it ended solely because of a turnbuckle pad that got exposed. But these two went at it, so it's just funny that we almost matched it. You went number 5, and I went number 4. That's funny as hell. But yeah, so go ahead and talk about your number 4.
Well, again, going back to, who's been the most predominant wrestlers of this month that have demonstrated strong fighting spirit and what felt like so much of a coming circle moment for both these men. And again, I always set Tokyo Dome in January 4th as a precipice for my bar of professional wrestling greatness. Damn it. I had to put Shingo Takagi versus Konosuke Takeshita in this list for both the Neverweight and AEW National Championship. Not only was it double championship, interpromotional implications. Why one thrived in Dragon Gate, the other one thrived in DDT Pro. Now both are involved in New Japan. And Shingo Takagi, previously, of course, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, coming in once again as the Neverweight Champion, eclipsing Tomoyoshi Ii for the most combined days as never Openweight Champion. It's almost like Triple H when it comes to WrestleMania. He is a standard, but he doesn't always win. Unfortunately, that was the case here when Konosuke was able to get the win. And Konosuke, of course, made incredible history since coming into Japan last year. As this match, people were like, what is? And been wanting it since the G1 Climax. Both men were in different blocks, though, so that match never happened. The fact that we got this match at the Tokyo Dome made it that much more special to me. So I had to put Konosuke and Shingo Takagi in this spot particularly. Because when I look at Konosuke Takeshita and Shingo Takagi and Konosuke Takeshita and Tomoyoshi Ii, I look at the fact that this was the aftermath. This was the bar that was set, and I still put Shingo up there higher.
you had no shortage of choices. Both these men fought twice in January. Well, more than twice, to be honest. They were literally involved in other matches, but this unified titles. Takeshita walked away the belt collector after this event. So, like, the fact that he did that, I totally agree with you. This was an awesome match, but this is the second time Takeshita met your list, so you had no shortage to choose from Takeshita.
I got my favorites, and we'll talk more about maybe our favorite show this month, our favorite wrestler this month, maybe in the end. But go ahead and let's go ahead and move on now, because we're getting real into the nitty gritty now, because here comes our top 3. Do you believe that? And speaking of believing, Walter.
That's the reason I didn't give too much talking earlier, because Genesis again, number 3, I had Joe Henry. Like, literally, you guys see my wife pop up on Shenanigans, hit me in the back of the head, like funny things. You've never actually seen her watch an event. She was sitting next to me off camera watching this. I had a 8-year-old go crazy when he heard the music that Joe Henry won. I had her going nuts when she found out Joe Henry won. The impact, pun intended, because of TNA, that this had when he walked away finally from that championship. And if you don't believe me, go watch how we reacted to it. You went crazy, I went crazy, JJ went crazy, and I'm sure everybody watching went crazy. All respect, I love your A Train, but the fact that even in our intro Shenanigans, what you said, it's not true. He is more than a theme song. Can you please admit that you can believe now, A Train? You gotta believe, man.
Yeah, maybe he'll believe he shows up in the Royal Rumble tonight, and unfortunately, I do believe he's going to show up tonight. If he does, you guys will see me covering football for the first time ever. Lord help me. That's a whole different conversation. Stat Boy approve. Damn it. But yeah, I mean, seriously, do you believe? We've literally been believing in Joe Hendry ever since he came to TNA, but I believed prior to that. I mean, James Hebert, of course, has also said how much he believed in the man back when he was involved in what culture of pro wrestling. I believed him when he was a logo hero in the other bygone era of Impact Wrestling. I believed him when he was in RLH. Hell, I believed in him when he showed up in NXT to the point you got me to call fucking NXT back since the Black and Gold era ended for a TV show. The man has literally been the most viral wrestler on the planet this past year alone. Billboards in Scotland had his damn freaking face on them. I'm just saying. It's one of those things where you reach out that far, you know how to go in this business to make sure you're always on everyone's mind or everyone's lips. That goes to the value of you as a competitor. But as champion, how much you invested in the journey versus how much you celebrate the accomplishment, does one outweigh the other? To me, it did not. Both felt the same, but it felt so incredible to see it happen as well. Again, I saw it at Bound for Glory. The air was almost sucked out of that building before the Hardys brought it to the Charismatic Nimbus Mind for Full Metal Mayhem. But when Joe Henry finally won at Genesis, saying he had to win this, after surviving the danger zone again. But Nick Nemeth, to his credit, survived the standing ovation. Took a fucking encore. Joe Henry winning was my favorite moment, I think, in January for men's professional wrestling, and arguably my second most favorite show the entire month of January, TNA Genesis. Couldn't be happier for Joe Hendry leading this new era.
We tried not to overkill the gimmick, but damn it, we said his name too many times.
Don't.
He appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Yeah, you had to do it at least once. You had to do it at least once. I'm sure it's going to happen again some point tonight where I'm going to be saying, do you believe? But also, damn it, Star Boy! I don't care about football. Never have, never will. Anyway. But yeah, that's a great one. You want to talk about wow factors, though, and just unexpected results. But again, I think most people expected Genesis. The very first championship match you and I called, the very first day of freaking January, by God. What the fuck were we expecting from this charismatic young protege, his first match back Excursion against the GHC heavyweight champion? I picked Kato Kiyomiya versus Osawa. I could not believe what I saw out of this young man, owning the champion and the audience. It was like it was in Bizarro, where it was like everyone was like, Kaito, we don't want you anymore. Ozawa should win. Representing Team 2000X, Osawa literally using Kaito Kiyomiya's own moves against him. Pro Wrestling Noah's New Year was the night of Team 2000X, not including Omos, and this cemented it. Now Osawa is literally leading this new generation. Why Kaito says, I will lead the new generation, of course, leading now All Rebellion. Osawa literally took that from him in quite predominant fashion, but it was a hell of a clinic also to the result. So I had to give Ozawa credit where credit's due because it was the first match we called. I did not expect him to win, nor did I expect him to be that damn good or confident in the ring in his first World Championship match where, might I add, the real Rebel is only 2 years in his wrestling career and now has the richest prize in Noah, unlike Shota Umino in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
The ironic thing is you didn't expect him to win, but then when you noticed everybody was out there but Almas, you made a joke and you said he's gone. They had to pick him ahead of time, and I said no, Noah, I think he's gonna end up being a factor in this match. And you were like, what? I said Ozawa's gonna win this match because of Almas. Now he's made his presence felt, but to his credit, he did not actually interfere. He was just actually there. He didn't really even distract that often, but it was just that moral support there. And Ozawa pulled it off. And I'm brand new to him. I'm brand new to Japan. I just had that feeling. I said Ozawa's gonna walk away with it. And you looked at me like I had two heads. I'm like, dude, they're gonna do it. The fact that Almost already won the tag titles earlier in the night, I was like, he's gonna pull it out. And when he did, like, your reaction was priceless. Like, James, you should clip that if you're watching. Like, literally. But yeah, this was a hell of a match, hell of a main event, and then Ozawa walked away with it. Like I just had a feeling, but I didn't actually expect it. Like sometimes I say stuff to put it out in the atmosphere, but I don't really believe with conviction behind it. But
that's fair.
I was right. Yeah.
I was more convinced that Kendo was going to be Kenta, which is another honorable mention from earlier, and he didn't do that.
Exactly.
All right.
Nitty gritty, man. We've made it literally to the top 2.
And speaking of New Japan Pro Wrestling and young uprising wrestlers getting the big one and not getting the big one, you picked probably the longest match we called this month. And the only reason I did is because Shota lost. But go ahead.
Yeah. Our passports are stamped again. We had to go back to Japan. Of course. For the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, you had Shoto versus Zack Sabre Jr. These two put on a clinic, the back and forth, to the point where you thought Shota was almost going to pull it off. Like he was this close, but Zack pulled out, showed how strong he is, showed what he is to this company. He pulled it out and he won. He retained his title, but man, to see that at the end with the firework, everything just going off, it did something in the heart. And there's only a reason. This almost made my number 1. I was debating it, but you'll see what my number 1 is in a minute. But this was damn near close, and I'm so happy for Zack Sabre Jr. to be able to carry the company. People were wondering if he can not only main event, they were wondering if he could literally carry this company on his back. And Damn it, I'm here to say he's doing it. This was his dream. He wanted the main event and be either win a championship or defend the championship in the main event. He has now done both, and he's done it in Japanese pay-per-view. And I'm so happy for Zack. But yeah, that's my number 2. We had to go back to Wrestle Kingdom.
I mean, that's fair. Also, again, Shota Umino, why he's one of the 3 musketeers of this era, I believe, with Ren Narita and either Yoda or Uya Mera. I got to double check the article at www.netstudio.com. And also, Yoda Occur's current IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion, is one of those phases where Shota Umino, I think, has the most potential, but it's one of those phases that he echoes so many people that I don't know if he echoes he's defined himself yet. You think about Jon Moxley, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tetsuya Naito, using Masahiro Chono's STF in his own arsenal, passed down from Mr. August himself. But he also is one of the hardest workers in New Japan when it comes to the big matches and big moments, but he just doesn't capitalize. This match was 43 minutes long. He went longer against Zack Sabre Jr. than he went against Will Ospreay back at the friggin' Power Struggle tour before Will Ospreay left New Japan Pro Wrestling for 40 minutes. about Shota Umino for me, his offense and arsenal seems limited, but his spirit does not. Zack Sabre Jr., though, had him dead to rights almost the whole iteration of this match. Every time Shota got some offense, all he had to do was dissect his leg or trap the arm. At one point, his father, Rishus Umino, almost called the match when he was in that debilitating lock. It almost felt like to me that Shota Umino was almost fighting on only one leg for most of this bout. Finally able to hit the Death Rider, dropping Zack Sabre Jr. on his head. How many times, I don't know. He still could, though. And it took a Sabre driver in the end for Zack Sabre Jr. to win. Again, Zack Sabre Jr., to his credit, as IWGP Heavyweight Champion, he loves his style, but he doesn't only depend on that style because he's been winning via pinfall, especially with this modified Sabre driver, this Michinoku driver, passed up by Taka Michinoku himself. What? Just tap out. So what? But yeah, this was definitely an incredible effort, and it was a really first unique time encounter for a number of reasons. Like you said, Zack Sabre Jr. proved he could carry the company, but he also can main event and he could win. Doing that, I think, the first time since Bob Sapp, I believe. And Shota Umino was the youngest challenger to main event the Tokyo Dome since Kazuchika Okada. When Okada first came in, he challenged the Ace Hiroshi Tanahashi and failed. It took 2-3 times to finally beat him on the Aces stage. Will it do this? Will it take the same for Shota Umino? That remains to be seen. But I look at Shota and Zack Sabre Jr. as two people to lead New Japan Pro Wrestling this next generation. And I think New Japan's in very good hands right now on TMDK while everything's orange. So, very good pick there, bro. Well, again, you want to talk about championships. Again, I talk about how I put a precipice on Japanese wrestling. I put a precipice on women's wrestling. I talk about Donna Del Mundo, women in the world who play. We talked about honorable mention Julia winning the NXT Women's Championship. I couldn't imagine how happy Julia was when Mai Sakurai, your ladyship, won the United Nation Marigold title from a very familiar foe. If you followed actress wrestling like I have, Miku Ano. Miku Ano and Mai Sakurai, of course, have history dating all the way back to the 2020, I believe. And, of course, Miku Ano is the inaugural champion. Of course, this champion was also crowned back in July. Mai Sakurai, of course, who was the Twin Star Tag Champion with Mirai. Finalist in the Dream Prix with Utami Hayashita, but came up short and went to challenge one of her greatest rivals. These two have shared time limit draws, and Miku has beaten Mai more often than not. This is the first time that Mai Sakurai beat Miku Anu in one-on-one action. This follows up the fact that the last time these two faced one-on-one, which was a 15-minute draw. But what I love about this is the growth of Mai Sakurai. She followed Julia into Marigold because she wanted to become stronger alongside her. There's a reason why Julia picked Mai Sakurai as her last singles match in Japan before Julia said arrivederci. And I really loved, again, how Marigold First Dream demonstrated dreams coming true for the first time for so many deserving competitors. So I put Mai Sakurai up there as my number 2.
Yeah, I agree with that pick. I didn't know much about these two. You had to educate me, like I had to sit in class with a notebook, pencil, and pen. But yeah, it really was awesome. These two went at it hardcore. Like the two battered each other. Like I think it was 25 minutes or so, right?
It was actually, yes, it was 25 minutes and 17 seconds. I look at the catalog. And she also, by the way, beat already a very familiar foe she hasn't beaten before. Remember when I said she challenged Nagisa Nosagi? She already beat her. So she's already got one successful defense underneath her reign.
Yeah, these two literally, they let everything out of the bag. From facial expressions, they made you feel everything they were doing. It was style classes from top rope. There was Frankensteiners in the damn match. Transitions. There were anything you can ask for from professional wrestling, especially women's professional wrestling, was in this match. Like, I mean, out of 5 stars, 4.5. Like literally, like I can see why this ranked high, and the only reason it wasn't on my list because I had a feeling it was going to be on yours. So like, I tried to do things so we're not repeating too much, and I can already see we repeated quite a few just out of order. So like I tried to go in your brain, and I was like, he's going to be more Japan heavy, so let me throw this. That's why I threw a couple of Raws in there. I felt like no WWE would be on yours. It's funny that no NXT was on mine, but NXT was on yours. So it's funny how we got here, but yeah.
Well, that being said, Walter, you talk about again how we might have similar matches. We talk about Japanese wrestling. I baptized you, but what?
before you go to number one, we got to. I feel like we should take a little break, but keep saying what you were saying. But I think we should show everybody what we got coming up for
Ooh,
in Simply Reliable Studios and run the watch along trailer, and
I
then come
like
back
that.
with number one instead of just giving it to them. But go ahead and say what you were saying.
No, I was just gonna say again. You talk about how I baptized you in Japanese wrestling. How WWE may not be on my list, but again, we're focusing right now on the most excited WPLE we've had since WrestleMania 40. We talked about all the matches. I talked about matches, of course, we're hyping up, and this ain't on the watch along, but I know I'm gonna be watching this. I can't wait to see Saya Kamatani versus Suzu Suzuki for the World of Stardom Championship. The battle of the two craziest bitches in Stardom. Who's crazier and who's stronger? Stay tuned. Corrigan Hall, February 2nd. You guys watch it on Stardom World if you want. I know I am. But yeah, we've talked a lot about different promotions that we focus on. We talk about maybe exploring other promotions, like maybe a new promotion each month. Maybe Talent Match will continue making that a thing with all women's-based promotions. But yeah, folks, for those that don't know, we represent what's called Our Studios. We love All Things Wrestling, W fam. And we also kind of do watch-alongs across All Things Wrestling. To the point, check this out.
Mm-hmm.
And now for a taste of things to come.
Again, why is that too nice? I don't know why the SummerSlam has to be too nice, but truly, like I said, here at the Super Bowl Studios, Simply Reliable truly loves, encompasses, and embraces all the wrestling. And now we return back to our regularly scheduled program, where it's time to show you all who we deemed, in our own opinion, our favorite match of the month. So that being said, Walter, it's been a hell of a ride for our first time. I can't wait to do it at the end of February. Let's go ahead and bring this thing home, because you and I truly are strong-spirited and believe in Japanese wrestling. There you go, folks. Walter, go ahead and start it off with you.
The reason I didn't talk much about this is when you showed it earlier, Botch changed that to number one. There we go. Is because this was my number one match. It was the return of Kenny Omega after coming from diverticulitis. We weren't sure what version of Kenny we were going to see. We weren't sure if he can go. We weren't sure how long he would go. This turned into a literal bloody mess that went into the crowd, that went all over the arena. These two were bleeding from, literally Kenny's head was like, and turned into a mass. Like, it would make John Moxley jealous, like the way he was bleeding. Like literally, these two they gave us hardcore, they gave us high flying, they gave us mat wrestling. Gabe Kidd is part of the group. What does the group always say? If you don't win or you don't get a title, what do you take?
Body.
A body. Like, he literally almost took Kenny Omega's body. I don't know how he survived this. Diverticulitis affects your intestines and your stomach and your abdomen. Gabe Kidd focused on Kenny's abdomen for the entire match. Like, how many times did he either hit a gut buster, he kneed him in the stomach, anything he did, any weapon they can get on their hands? There was a barbed wire was it a 2x4 or bat? Remind me, Noah.
It was literally a piece of a table brained over
Yeah,
Kenny Omega.
yeah, like literally, like in everything they went through was hardcore. Like to the point where I almost cheered Gabe Kidd too. Gabe Kidd for the freaking effort he put in, and he was the heel of all heels. Like you're supposed to disgustingly hate this guy, and like he made a fan out of me the way he put in this match. So I couldn't put any other match over this, and it's just again the impact too of the return of Kenny Omega. Like seeing him in the first time to way over a year to not be able to see this man to the point where he doubted himself. Like he thought he might have that would have been it. He thought he might have ended his career, and if he was, it was a fine way to leave. But he fought hard to return, and Kenny Omega was here and he came back. And I mean, this match impressed the living shit out of me. Like this epitomized what wrestling is for the month of January for me.
Oh, well said, man. Again, Tanahashi's tears at ringside on commentary tells the story as well, to the point you were talking about when it came to Gabe Kidd and Kenny Omega fighting off emotion, spirit, and truly this match, it was combat. It was literally bloody, barbaric combat. But it was that pride that both men had for this business, not just for New Japan, but for the very name and the aspect of professional wrestling. Damn it. And again, there was even those roots of Inokiism in here where you saw Gabe Kidd used the ground cobra and Inoki special. So it's one of those things where I think for me, Gabe Kidd proved that you don't have to like me, but god damn it, I'm New Japan Pro Wrestling. Respect this shit. Respect what's done on the Lion Mark. And he personified that. Gabe Kidd got a newfound respect out of me that night alone as well. Now he's facing Yota Tsuji for the Global Heavyweight Championship during the New Beginning Tour, and he still is a strong openweight champion. So you don't have to like him. You don't have to like the style, but you damn sure have to respect the pride that this young man exhibits when it comes to the fact that this business really saved his life. And speaking of a business and speaking of lives, Kenny Omega having a new leash on life with a Final Fantasy Rebirth type theme for the God of Pro Wrestling self-proclaimed was a hell of a way to set the stage and the importance, or what Gabe Kidd thought was the utter bullshit of Kenny Omega and this, fabricated status quo of him. Even post-match, Gabe Kidd still staying in that, proverbial character. He did call Kenny Omega the shit. So he definitely earned Kenny Omega's respect, I feel like, both ways. So you got the Dark Hero of New Japan honored by arguably the man that's been the most influential in New Japan history, not named Hiroshi Tanahashi, this last generation. So, mad respect there. And again, you talk about how we might be similar. I had to do it, bro, because again, Utami Hayashita has always been one of my all-time favorites. And when she left Stardom, I was really surprised, especially seeing how that led to the fallout of Saya Kamitani eventually becoming the Phoenix Queen that she is. But Utami Hayashita, former Queen of Roses, top talent of Stardom, who's been part of Marigold. Marigold, by the way, that's not even 1 year old yet, might I add. How's that for some crazy shit? Finally, has come to, I think, a promise to herself why she pursued these new challenges and had about a rocky start last year. She won, of course, their version of the 5-Star Grand Prix, the Dream Prix. She, of course, went on to take on Saray. Saray dropping her on her head with how many freaking those dangerous little suplexes. We saw what happened during the show. Dadgum. And somehow she still fought through, finally hit a hijack bomb in the end, and literally a queen beat a god, the sun god. Saray, of course, was at the precipice for the Marigold World Championship ever since winning it back last year in July, like I said, against Julia, winning it against the likes of Nane Takahashi and Bozilla. And of course, Utami Hayashita, who's been endorsed by the likes of the former leader of Queen's Quest herself, that inspired Utami to get into wrestling. Io Shirai, Io Sky, last year in July. I think it really goes to show how far Utami fought for this dream to pursue new challenges and walk across other fields. Now she shines brighter than ever as the Marigold World Champion. And I think that journey itself is values for me as a professional wrestling fan. So I gave Utami and Saray the #1 spot as my favorite women's match also of this month.
Yeah, like I talked about it earlier when I mentioned it, but how fitting is it that we began in Japan and we ended in Japan? I knew this list was going to be Japanese heavy. Like I knew it. And you kept teasing me like, what gives you that idea? We both knew that we were going to go to Japan a hell of a lot with this top 10. But there you have it, folks. There's the top 10 in January, which means February has a lot to live up to. It may be a shorter month, but there's a lot on the deck. Like, imagine when we get to May and we have to do April with that shit, with that calendar that
We're gonna
JJ
die.
showed earlier.
We're
Like,
gonna die.
I'm almost afraid to go to April.
Yeah, well, I mean, to just put in perspective, we know in February we're going to have Royal Rumble to think about. We got Grand Slam, we got Vengeance Day, we got the New Beginning. Noah, Marigold, and Storm have upcoming shows. I talked about the Corrigan show on February 2nd. Also, congratulations to the winners of the New Year Unit competition in Neo Genesis. Now they get 2 championship matches of their choosing in Stardom, and I believe they're going after the tag and the trios titles, the Artist and the Goddess titles, respectfully. And who knows what else might come up in our watch-alongs as well that might also surprise us. Sometimes TV even surprises us. I find it very interesting how you actually had 2 TV matches on your list. I had none. But before we go for the month of January, I'm just going to say right now, 2025 is off to one hell of a start. And as far as my show of the month, because I'm just going to put it out there, I think I got to give it slightly ahead of Genesis to Marigold, because Marigold literally ushered in new dreams across the board for the championships. New Superfly, new United Nation, new world. So I think Marigold was my show of the month. Genesis a very close second. Before we close this thing, Walter, what was your show of the month for January?
Marigold was a close second to me, but for me, because of the introduction to Japan and everything, and the lessons you gave me, Wrestle Dynasty was the for the month for me.
All right. Well, there you go. And again, arigato. I'm forever grateful to have you on for the ride. I'm glad you love it, and you're welcome. And you folks are welcome to let us know your thoughts, your opinions, what you learned, what you were surprised not to see, what you were surprised to see, what you think you already knew you were going to see. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below or in the chat. And again, we're going to keep doing this as the months continue. So please stay tuned. This is the first of Sybil Liable exclusive content you can expect from me and Walter Cruz. But we literally got less than an hour, so I don't know if we need to chill. So, Walter, is there any closing remarks you want to say before we bid them adieu?
Just tune in. Keep continuing to watch the channel as we pump content out, and just please enjoy professional wrestling. Like, I understand people got difference of opinions in politics and all the other thing, but we can come together in the wrestling community. It literally is a distraction for me from personal things that go through. So
Amen.
We don't need this toxic environment and this loyalty to one company over the other. Just enjoy all of it and literally expand your horizon. Like, look at Japanese wrestling. Look at anything. Ireland. Look at Europe, British, strong style. There's so much. And if you can't find something to enjoy, then get out of the internet wrestling community. Like, seriously, there's something for everyone.
Something! And literally, you can find stuff on YouTube. They stream live shows. Go check out Dustin Rose Association. They're starting a tournament this month. Shout out to Natural. Go check out Pro Wrestling Eve, where Jamie Hayter returns home to take on Alex Renzer for the first time ever. That show will be on YouTube to become a subscriber. Go follow my friends in wrestling. I'm married Jade that Jade's worth more than gold, as she works throughout promotions like Spinebuster TV. Check out Progress. Check out House of Glory. Check out the NWA. La Princesa, Tim Nueves, the Tama Cobra. They're in a blood feud. Kenzie Page still leads the women's division, holding the Burke. There is so much to love this year. The wrestling business has never looked more promising for the longevity of the future with no end. Even Kenny Omega has said it ad nauseum. It's just a great fucking time to be a professional wrestling fan, damn it.
By the way, I need to correct myself because I botched. I said Wrestle Dynasty and I meant Wrestle Kingdom 19 was
they were right next to each other. But yeah. I got you.
But yeah, you have it, top 10, folks. So let us know and comment. Put it exactly what you said. Let us know what you feel like should have been number one. What are some of your honorable mentions? What are you surprised that we left out, or what do you feel like we left out? I know JJ is gonna cuss me out about NXT because I feel like he
you are so getting chewed out.
Like, I even invited him to come out here to give his live reaction. I'm surprised he didn't take advantage of it just to curse me out. But
he's gonna get you on the kickoff show.
We have literally less than an hour. We went over an hour 13 minutes, and now we're gonna come back in less than an hour to do the Royal Rumble. So can't wait. Look forward to that. You'll see 2 additional squares because JJ and the man with all the stats, Mike, joins us as we enjoy wrestling again. It's Royal Rumble. Happy Royal Rumble Day. Like, I couldn't have been more excited today.
Damn right. So until 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what I always leave you folks with. Make a positive impact in life. And whether you're halfway across the world or right here in broad daylight, have a good night. And continue to just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling. Damn it.
And believe. Believe.
Always believe.
His name and
Stop.
he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Dang it, Walter! Every
Have a good
time!
night, folks.
Every